All right, so imagine one single idea. An idea so powerful it could lead you to total inner peace, or it could be used to build a terrifying absolute police state. Sounds wild, right? Well, that's the story we're diving into today. We're talking about Wu Wei, the ancient art of effortless action, and its absolutely incredible, contradictory history. So let's just start with this central puzzle here, because it's a good one. How can you actually achieve more by doing less? I mean, that sounds completely backward, right? It's like the opposite of everything we're ever told. But that question, that little paradox, is the key to understanding Wu Wei.
And the answer to that puzzle is right there in the name, Wu Wei. It literally translates to non-doing or not acting. But, and this is a big but, that's super misleading. It's not about being lazy or sitting around. In practice, what it really means is effortless action. Think about it like this. It's about getting so in tune with the way things naturally work that what you do feels totally spontaneous, super powerful, and completely free of struggle.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to go back to the beginning. Where did this idea even come from? And the answer is Daoism. For the Taoist thinkers, Wu Wei was the ultimate goal, finding your flow, your harmony with the entire universe. And this is captured so beautifully in their foundational text, the Tao Te Ching. It says, "The Tao abides in non-action, but there is nothing it does not do." Just think about that for a second. The universe itself, the Tao, doesn't strain or force anything, yet everything gets done. The goal for a person, then, was to just tap into that, to align yourself with this incredible, quiet, effortless power. So how do you do that? How do you tap into the power of the universe? Well, the Taoist path to Wu Wei wasn't about learning a bunch of complicated new skills. Actually, it was the opposite. It was about unlearning. It was about getting back to a simple, primordial state. They had this great image for it, becoming like uncarved wood, just natural, authentic, without all the extra stuff carved into you. You know, stripping away all the noise, all the desires, and just letting your true, untouched nature shine through.
You know, a spinning wheel is a really great way to picture this. Imagine a master potter at their wheel. At first, they had to think about every little movement, right? But after years of practice, their hands just move. It's fluid, it's graceful, it's totally effortless. They aren't fighting the clay anymore. They're in a perfect dance with it. That feeling, that's Taoist Wu Wei.
Okay, so you've got this beautiful, personal, spiritual idea of just flowing with the universe, but then the story takes a huge turn, a really fascinating one, because this very private concept gets picked up by a totally different group, the Confucians. And these guys, they weren't focused on personal harmony. Oh no, they were all about social order, politics, and how to run a state properly. And get this, Confucius himself talked about Wu Wei. He pointed to this legendary ancient King Shun as the perfect example of a Wu Wei ruler. So what did King Shun do? Well, according to Confucius, nothing. He didn't have to bark orders or micromanage his government. His power came from just being an incredibly virtuous person. His moral character was so pure, so powerful, that the entire kingdom just fell into place around him, spontaneously. And I want to be clear, they meant this literally. This wasn't just a metaphor. They believed the ruler's personal goodness had this almost magical cosmic effect. A truly moral king would actually make the crops grow better and make sure everyone in society got along, all without having to do anything. His non-action was, in fact, the most powerful political tool he had. So now you've got this huge split, right? For the Taoists, Wu Wei is all about finding personal peace by stepping away from the world. But for the Confucians, Wu Wei is about creating social order by being a perfect example in the world. It's the exact same phrase, Wu Wei, but the goals couldn't be more different. But hold on, because the story isn't over. Not by a long shot. In fact, it's about to get way, way darker. How on earth did this idea, an idea rooted in harmony, whether with nature or society, get twisted into a weapon, a tool for absolute, ruthless political control? Well, that brings us to our third group, the Legalists. These guys were the Machiavellis of ancient China, cold, calculating political strategists. And when they looked at Wu Wei, they didn't see spirituality or morality. They saw power, pure, unadulterated power, the ultimate political weapon. One of the key legalist thinkers, a guy named Chan Buddhism, just laid it all out. He basically said, forget about being a good person, forget about being in tune with the cosmos. For a legalist, power doesn't come from who you are. It comes from the system you create, from your techniques. The ruler's inner thoughts?
totally irrelevant. His method? That was everything. And they had a playbook for this. The legalist version of Wu Wei was brilliant and absolutely chilling. Step 1. Be a complete mystery. An absolute blank slate. Never, ever let anyone know what you want, what you think, or what you like. Step 2. Delegate everything. Don't tell your ministers what to do, make them tell you what they're going to do. And then, Step 3, your only job is to do nothing. Just watch and compare what they promised with what they delivered. The end result? By doing nothing, you are in total control. How can anyone manipulate you if they have no idea what you want?
Their central metaphor for this was a mirror. Think about it. A mirror does nothing, right? It's just still, empty, polished. All it does is reflect what's put in front of it. And that's the ruler. He does nothing, and in his stillness, his ministers reveal everything about themselves, their skill, their stupidity, their loyalty, or their betrayal.
Yeah, they even had a name for it, the Xiaoming mirror, a mythical mirror that reflects everything perfectly but has no image, no content of its own. It's totally empty, totally passive, but it sees everything. And that was the autocrat's dream, to see it all while being completely invisible himself.
And then a later legalist, Han Fei, took this idea to its most terrifying extreme. He argued that in this system, the ruler's quiet, mysterious non-action isn't peaceful at all. It's horrifying. Imagine working for a boss where you have no idea what they're thinking, ever. You'd be constantly terrified of making a wrong move. And that was the point. Wu Wei became a tool to inspire terror.
So let's just recap. We've gone from a path to inner peace all the way to a tool for absolute terror. What an incredible, twisted journey for one idea. But the story doesn't end there. Wu Wei kept evolving, right through the centuries, popping up in new spiritual and even modern ways.
I mean, look at this journey. It's just wild. You start in the 400s BCE with Taoist sages just trying to find harmony. Then the Confucians adapt it for running a virtuous government. Then the legalists turn it into a weapon for dictators. Centuries pass, and then Chan, what we know as Zen Buddhism, picks it up. And then finally, in the 20th century, it makes its way to the West, where people like Alan Watts start talking about not forcing things. And you know, in a funny way, Zen kind of brought the whole idea full circle, back to its spiritual roots. For Zen practitioners, Wu Wei described that moment of enlightenment when you finally realize there's nothing to achieve. There's no goal you have to strain for. Real wisdom isn't something you go out and get. It's what's left when you stop struggling. There's this fantastic quote from the Zen master Huangbo that just nails it. The person of the way is the one who has nothing to do. He doesn't mean they're lazy. He means they have no hidden agenda, no desperate striving. They just are, living in that state of effortless, spontaneous being we talked about at the very beginning.
So that brings us all the way back to right here, right now. We've seen how this one little idea, Wu Wei, has been used for spiritual freedom and for political terror. It's meant so many different things to so many people. But I think for us, living in a world that is just obsessed with the hustle, with grinding 24/7, maybe the most radical question we can ask ourselves is this: what could effortless action possibly mean for me?